Hello, everybody.
Hello.
We'll give everybody another minute or so to join us, but I see we've got Apocalyptic Ben here. Thank you for joining us. Mr. Chef Hamza, welcome, welcome. I know there's always a delay with YouTube and sending out the notification to everybody.
Yep, I've got it here. I'll let you know when it goes out.
Okay.
But yes, welcome in, Van. We're really excited to have you here today.
Thank you for having me. I love both of you guys' social media stuff, your YouTube channels, so I am very thrilled that you'd have me on.
We're
Very
excited
cool.
to have you. You have your hands in so much stuff. And I'm excited to hear more about that. And I'm sure that we have listeners that are excited to hear more about that too.
Well, thank you.
Mhm. Where are you located, Van?
Southern British Columbia, Canada. So, the southwest corner of Canada, basically. And we are relocating to a way more remote part of northern Canada. And that's something that we're involved in right now. And it's the reason we've been online a little bit less.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's the warmest part of Canada where we are at the moment. But that's not where we've always been. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of very much like Seattle, I would
Where
say.
we are
Mm-hmm.
at the moment, but that's not where we've always been.
Awesome.
Sorry
And
about that. The notification just went out.
okay, cool.
Lovely.
Awesome.
I'll go ahead and share this real quick too to draw some people
Got a
in.
coffee, so I'm good over here.
Oh, yeah. Me too.
What are you
Still
having,
working on it.
Lisa? You
I am having coffee.
Very nice.
I'm waiting for my hibiscus tea to turn pink.
Yes. How long does that take?
It shouldn't take but a couple of minutes. You'll probably see me hop over there to grab it here in a minute.
Morning, Charlie, Fallen Arkansas veterans.
Hey, Charles.
Hello.
Drop a few links while we're here. Hey, Anita, Nordic Drip Coaching.
Hey, Anita. And I know moving takes a lot of time. I'm sure that keeps you busy. So no wonder. Is it going to be raw land, or is there some structure that's on the property?
Yeah, there's a house and there's some there's some outbuildings and stuff like that. It's more of a like a homestead setup, and we're on a bit of property here, but it's more, and we've got it's grow zone 2 in Canada, so it's pretty wintry, I would say, and so we're developing our plan. We're gonna be growing a lot. We grow outdoor here, but and a bit of indoor, but we're gonna do like quite an indoor operation that we're planning out, so that's pretty exciting.
Yeah. Awesome.
That's
Hey,
awesome.
Be Charming and Chris and Larry Homestead. Thank you all for joining us.
I finally could have had the chance to have our garden in on Friday, and we had nothing but threat of hail every day. And some days we got it, some days we didn't. So I think I'm finally getting it in today, which is annoying me because you have to wait for the frost.
Yeah.
But I was like, I am not losing everything because Saturday we had a threat of tennis ball size hail. Thankfully, we did not get it. Last night, we've got some pea size pretty steadily, which can damage, but about an hour to 90 minutes north of us on not last night, the night before, windows were smashed out by the hail.
Oh no.
It was huge. I couldn't believe it. And then last night south of us, there was a lot of damage also. It was just terrible. So I'm whining about my garden, but the reality of it is farms sustain damage, homes. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, welcome in.
Lots of fun people in the chat. Nice to see you all.
Yeah.
Awesome people. So we've got
Hey, Shift Kicker,
Uncle Al Died Bullfrog,
Hello.
Hog Deer 79, Sassy Girl Prepping, Cold War Prepper, Be Charming, Chris and Larry Homestead. Wow. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Outdoors.
Hey, Outdoors.
Matt, good morning.
Tammy, you want to start us off?
Sure. So thank you everybody for joining us today. We are so happy to have VANCITY Prepper on with us to talk about goal setting and the 7F goals and what she's got going on in her world this year. So thank you all for joining, and thank you so much, VANCITY Prepper, for joining us today. We're so excited to chat with you. And I'd like to, for anybody who hasn't watched VANCITY Prepper, we do have her link posted to the top of the chat. And I hope you all will go check her out. She and her husband do a lot in the area of they fly helicopters and they help with rescues, and it's some of your medical knowledge too, Van, that I really enjoy hearing about. But I could go on and on. I know you have like a PhD even, which I think is fascinating, and that you have an interest in like geology and rocks and stuff like that. And so I
Wow.
think that's super
Where's my
cool.
husband?
Is he a rock man?
Well, he works in the mining industry.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, very cool.
So he works with geologists all the time.
Awesome. Yeah. So, Van, would you like to share with everybody a little bit about your channel?
Yeah, sounds good. Well, thank you so much for having me. I enjoy both of you guys so much. I find myself engaging more with Lisa on Instagram and Mountain Grandma on YouTube, and you guys are both awesome. And I always appreciate the comments and the back and forth. And so it's really cool to get to actually talk to you guys, yeah, in real time. So thank you for that. We have a channel that we started in the fall. We had some raw footage of a local natural disaster, which was a catastrophic flooding that was experienced in southern BC and Washington State. It was quite intense. So we were able to put that up. We also noticed there were a lot of shortages of things in our stores. So we wanted actually to show popular preparedness, Steve, what we were seeing in our store. So the first video was actually just uploading that and sending him a link. 'Cause I didn't know how else to get him the video that was, email size. So that's how it actually started. But yeah, there's two of us on the channel. We've got Mr. VP, who has a background in agriculture. He's from England. He's English, British. So he grew up with farming on a hill farm in northern England. And then went over to Australia and worked on the large-scale cattle ranches over there and became a helicopter pilot, was mustering cattle with helicopter. And so has a background in like aviation and farming. And then also obviously came over to Canada and does a lot of specialized work in Northern Canada. And has worked in a lot of countries like China, Nepal, Canada,
Wow.
and the United States, like all over the place. Wow. And he's citizen in three countries, in Australia and Canada and UK. So that's sort of his side, and he brings a lot to the channel because we've spent a lot of time in England, even just since we started our channel. So we were able to show some of the stuff with the sheep and a little bit of what like the life is like over there, because it's very, I find that it's like going back in time, like you're out in the countryside in northern England and there's lots of sheep and stuff. And then my background is I'm a geological scientist. I started working in remote areas in 2001. So I specialize in Northern Canada work. And I spent a lot of years, I would say about 15 years in the field. I graduated the first time in 2005. So it's been like around a little while as a geologist, and then went back and did like grad school to do more specialized like research and stuff like that. And then while I was out there, I realized that help wasn't coming if we had a problem. So I got a little bit of training, some you have to take first aid. And I was like, okay, that's great, but it still wasn't enough. I needed a bit more. I needed to know how to administer certain drugs because, like I said, help wasn't coming. So when I got those certifications, sometimes they'd be like, well, we need a person that's a medic. We need a geologist or geological scientist and a medic. So you can come and do both, and then it saves us hiring another person. So it's like in it for them to do that. But then sometimes I just went only as a medic, or sometimes I did some logistics work, dispatching, all that kind of stuff in a lot of different environments, like research. I worked at a university for a while, like when I was more on the academic side, and then a lot of companies mining oil and gas exploration, mostly like the really early stages of mapping and things like that. And then also I worked on the oil rigs for a couple years when I was in my late 20s. That was an interesting experience. And yeah, so just the medic thing. And then I've been doing rafting trips, geological guide rafting trips in the Grand Canyon through on the Colorado
Awesome.
River.
Mm-hmm.
I started in 2005 and did them annually till about basically this the sickness, the illness that happened.
Mm-hmm.
That's when the trips, and then also I had a child, so that kind of slowed things down for travel. Um, but anyway, so in that course of time, we'd do these rafting trips. You're off the grid for 188-mile trip. We'd start at mile 0 and then we'd fly out. So in those
Wow.
experiences, like a lot of it, there was a lot of survival type stuff because we'd any of these places we work, if there was no mine there yet, we'd have to collect our own water and treat our water and pack
Mm-hmm.
our food. And I worked in some parts up in northern Canada where I'd be out there for months. We'd get a helicopter food drop off every week. And so I'd pack the food and, just trying to see what worked out there, what attracted animals, what didn't attract animals,
Mm-hmm.
what fuel worked, what was sustainable, what wasn't. Lots of trial and error, lots of bad decisions. And it all is really in the lifestyle of preparedness. And so
Yep.
I'm excited about it and
Mm-hmm.
and learning all the homestead preparedness, all the stuff that everybody does. So it's just fun to be part of the community and meet people and learn about what other people are doing. So we just started throwing up videos. I like to do videos about natural hazards and in science and trying to just help spark interest in people learning more about the natural hazards in their area because there is a natural hazard in every area that
Yep.
anyone lives, right? It's just the
Fires.
frequency.
We're having fires right now. Like we have 3 fires up here in our small town Flagstaff. And I think Chris and Larry Homestead was asking in the chat if how's the smoke by me. So it's not close to me, just so everybody knows. Um, it's a matter of fact, I don't even smell the smoke. So it's burned 20,000 acres so far. The biggest one, the pipeline, which was started from somebody burning their toilet paper in our woods. I guess this man was from Louisiana. Yeah, you don't burn your anything right now in our dry forests. So such a shame that it's taking. When I checked yesterday morning, there was 270 firemen that were out there on that particular fire. Mind you, there's 2 other fires.
Hmm.
So you could say it's taken 270 people to take care of this dude going to the bathroom, and that is just a pitiful shame.
Yeah.
Um, but anyhow, yes, the dangers of certain areas.
Yes, and everywhere has them, right? It's just the frequency and the recurrence interval. So I just like to, when people have an idea of an area that maybe they want someone to do the research for them. So I like doing that. I've been putting out videos about different areas that people have kind of requested, and it's fun for me, and hopefully it helps just make it more of a conversation. And a lot of it I do to try to help reduce the worry a little bit because a lot of stuff is really sensationalized, and I think that with a little bit of explanation, it can make it a little more and also more accessible language and stuff with
Mhm.
compared to reading a bunch of research papers, for example. Yeah.
Yep, yep.
Hmm.
I do like to read research papers, though.
Do you?
Yeah.
What do you like to read about?
I like to read research papers on herbal medicine. That's one of my
Cool.
favorite things. And
No
I
way.
work in research, so right now it's medical device research, but I've
Wow.
I've worked my degree is biomedical engineering. And
Wow.
so I worked on the pharma side. I am not responsible for any of the nonsense that has gone on.
Yeah. That's
It
so
was
cool.
kidney disease research mainly for me, so which kind of led me to
Wow.
the path of herbal medicine because our healthiest patients were the ones that were taking supplements and practicing a healthy, eating lifestyle. They were
Yeah.
our healthiest ones, and I thought it was funny because the doctors were fearful of their patients taking herbs but I had a dietitian's office like right across the hall from me. So
Wow.
we would chat, about things. And the doctors were leery of some herbal supplements and things. But at the same time, one of the things that I did in that position to help my staff get patients into their studies was to look at medical records to see who qualified for the study. And I was there for 12 years and looked
Wow.
at so many medical records. I mean, thousands upon thousands. And I never saw anybody who had kidney disease due to any herbs. What I saw was people had kidney disease due to ibuprofen, which they called nephrotoxic, and
Oh,
also
yeah.
prescription medications. There were
Wow.
some prescription medications that actually then led people down the path of having compromised kidney function and, ended up being on dialysis. And what a shame. You know what I mean? Like,
Wow.
so yes, I love to read the research papers
That's
on
awesome.
herbs and herbal medicine, because if you can, it's one thing to look at a post or,
Yeah.
something online, but if you can get your hands on those medical journals that have involved clinical trials and say
Yes.
pomegranate juice, for example, there are so many research studies that have been done on pomegranate juice. We were even going to do one on our patients pre-dialysis, and evaluate them over time, but I couldn't get the funding for it. But one of the doctors was really big on trying to get that through. So anyhow,
That's
with
really fascinating.
yeah,
People don't realize how damaging ibuprofen is. Like a lot of football players
yeah,
take large quantities of it, right? And everybody, and not everybody, American culture is such that if I take what they say on the bottle,
mm-hmm.
if I take double that,
Yeah,
people like
right,
to play their own doctor. And because they say, well, when I go to the emergency room, they give me this many milligrams.
yeah,
I know plenty of people who have had lost their kidneys due
mm-hmm.
to taking large quantities. And as somebody who worked in the mental health and addiction fields
Mm.
for a career,
Mm-hmm.
whenever someone tried to end their suffering and used ibuprofen, it resulted in liver death or damage. So it's a horrible, horrible thing.
Yeah, it is. Apocalyptic Ben, you are right. They used to call it witchcraft.
Yep.
Mind you, when they called it witchcraft, that was at the very conception of the beginning of Western medicine. And there was a reason that they called it witchcraft. They were really trying to demonize herbal medicine and to discredit all of the grandmas
Yeah.
and Native American medicine men and women who had been studying this herbal medicine and using it for generations. So it was at the same time that they did that. And that was led by the Rothschilds. I mean, and there's a couple other big names, but the Rothschilds were huge in the establishment of the whole Western medicine thing. Just something to share with you that a lot of people aren't aware of. We had that going on for not it wasn't all a holy war.
Yeah.
Not by any means, but they did fool a lot of people.
Hey,
um
Faith, Hope, and Charities Homestead, thank you for your comment. I appreciate it.
hey G Mama Grows, Jesus
Jesus loving
Loving
homesteader.
Homesteader, good to see you all here.
It's so neat to see these channels, some of them that I haven't seen before. So I'll definitely go through I'll look through the chat after and check out some of these new channels for me, new to me channels.
Yeah. And if
So,
you all have not watched or heard of VANCITY Prepper, we've pinned her link to the top of the chat. So please go check her out. She's got some great information and from a great perspective, based just where she lives, her background, all of that. That's one of the reasons I enjoy listening to you, Van, is just,
Oh, thanks.
your background, where you live. It's just great to get that feedback. And I think a lot of us that are into preparedness kind of, we listen to a lot of people, and you're one of my go-tos for that
Oh,
reason.
thanks. Thanks. Well, no, it's
We
also
don't watch the news in my house either. Like
yeah.
we don't.
Yeah, I gave up on that myself too.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And earlier you were saying, we you and I connect more on Instagram, and that's because it's go time right now, right? It's busy time of the year. I've had to back
Yep.
off YouTube a lot because I've got a ton of animals on 2 acres. And it's that time of the year we got to get stuff done. I'd love to hear about some of your goals for, this year and
Mhm.
whatever you feel like working towards.
Well, I often push this idea, or I'm trying to always talk about this idea of having a few things growing inside because in this part of the world, we don't get, especially where we are right now, we don't get a lot of sun. And we had all of our, well, not all of our, some lettuce and things like that growing inside. And I was always a little bit, put on the tin hat for a moment, a little worried about, if there's something environmental happened outside, at least I have these fresh greens growing that were protected, and some herbs and stuff. So we had that kind of going on a small scale here, but where we're going, we're putting in this, like I mentioned, this underground growing system where we can harvest, a harvestable full setup, which we're gonna show on videos and stuff. So that's a goal, is to just get that all going and built. We're putting in a rainwater collection system in the new place as well. So all this stuff to do with this sustainability, self-sustainability setup, and we want to work on spending some more time doing activities that don't cost anything, like camping and cooking, more cooking without electricity, device-free days, and doing things like no power for 24 hours to just check all of our stuff, like our
Mhm.
generators, and just really distancing ourselves from spending money.
Yep.
All the usual stuff, but with the prices and just really adopting a better quality of life.
I agree, and I tell you, my husband and I were just talking about this last night. I retired in November,
Oh.
um, and so I'm doing the farm full time, and it has saved us so much money,
Hmm.
right? And you think, okay, well, you're giving up that income, but not only are you getting the quality of life, but then obviously everything got worse, right? And
Yep.
so no longer am I traveling 20 hours a week driving back and forth to work.
Hmm.
Oh, well, she'll be back. Not only am I saving the gas prices, the maintenance on my vehicle, and spending extra money, and it's really incredible how much money we've saved by me not working. It's
Isn't that
crazy.
interesting? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so quality of life, finances, and it's been absolutely wonderful. And not to mention, next year the taxes will be a lot better because I'm tired of paying every year.
Yeah.
So it really is incredible. No worries, Mountain Grandma. We knew you'd be back.
Yeah.
Hey,
How's your
Josh, Stewart's
tea?
prepping. What's
Oh,
that?
yeah. I was just wondering, Mountain Grandma, is your tea ready now?
Yes, I should go check it. Hold on.
So Tina Ladybug is here also. I just want to get everybody's links in there. So when you move, and obviously this is if you feel comfortable sharing, and if you don't, we totally understand that because we have to protect our privacy here in forums like this. But when you talk about moving to the new property, will you be changing like and getting animals and stuff like that?
Yeah, at the moment we don't really have any animals other than a dog, but we're looking at that, because of Mr. VP's extensive background in in farming. I mean, he's worked with, goats, sheep, cows, like all that stuff in a major way, and was employed doing that kind of work before he became a pilot. And then when he was also working with the animals. But it's a little bit about hardiness as well for where we are, because where we're going to be, and definitely like I said, we'll probably do the chicken route and a couple other things. But we also we travel a lot, and that's the other consideration,
Mm-hmm.
because of course half of our channel is away most of the time for work.
Yeah.
So those are considerations too. That's what we have, like a little bit of a different, we have a little bit maybe more freeze dried food than some other people because we actually take it, or he takes it to work when he goes to these other places and eats it. So,
Nice.
but he couldn't take a canning jar with him because, so we have, it's just a good example how lifestyles are different for everybody in the community.
It's very true, very true, and that is a major thing of leaving the homestead. I had a YouTuber ask me the other day, like, "Oh, would you have a chance to get to a get together and get away from the farm?" And I was like, "No."
Yeah.
Like if there's an emergency, like last year I had an emergency and I had a family issue, and somebody graciously came and took care of everybody.
Amazing.
But right now we have triple the animals that we had last year. So yeah, it's you're very smart to think like that. Tammy's frozen with a smile on her face.
That's awesome. That's a good way to be frozen.
I know. Hi, my Aussie Gardening Kitchen. Welcome in. Hello, Jackie, Berkshire. Oh, Frank. I'm sorry, Frank at Berkshire Farm. And Faith, Hope, and Charities is listening in, enjoying the channels. Poor Mountain Grandma. She's having issues today, the poor thing. Usually she doesn't have that. That is the best frozen face
awesome.
ever.
I wish I looked like that when I froze. It's never like that.
I know. So you know about the 7 Fs.
Yes.
Do you want to share about maybe some goals that you have in those areas that you don't mind sharing about?
Sure. Well, I know one of them is finance, and I think we're all trying. Anybody who has anything in the markets is trying not to get annihilated right now. So that's a goal, is to stay afloat with that and try to just keep our purchasing power however we can, but goods that aren't going to lose value as quickly as currency. And so that's a big one. And I know another one is the fitness piece. I just ran a race a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
A mountain race around here, which is normally my thing. It slowed down though with the cerveza sickness. They had closed all that down, and then the one I ran in was the first one that I had had in like 2 years. So I survived. That was my goal, was to survive. So doing more of that kind of stuff definitely is part of it.
And you often promote, and I've seen it on Instagram, is you often promote how important fitness is as a part of prepping. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
I'd love to. So for me, and mental health, mental fortitude, and knowledge is, in my opinion, the number one prep. And right up there is being healthy, physically fit. And I don't, of course, mean be able to run like 2 marathons or something. I just mean, healthy, like you guys are talking about, being aware of the herbal things to consume and healthy eating and all that stuff. I personally like exercise. I've been, a competitive runner for a long time, not as much these days, but over several years. So just, I've always, like, I used to be down in the city, like right in the center of the city, and my office is still there. I don't really go there much, but I've always wanted to be, if I needed to be able to run out of the city and run home if I had to at any given moment, So just for that not to be an issue, or you gotta walk a long distance, you break down your vehicle, and for that not to be a thing on my mind of, am I gonna make it, So I think being as healthy as we can, I mean, within our own limitations, like, of course, a lot of people have health issues, disabilities. Time is really hard to find, especially, you've got animals or jobs or children. It's hard to find the time, but if available, trying to be the healthiest version of ourselves that we can be is very important to me. Both of us, actually,
Absolutely. And that's why I wanted you to talk about it, because when I see your posts on Instagram, it's just so important to know. And you're in an area, obviously in British Columbia, you're in an area where, and you said you're moving north, you're in an area where you get long winters similar to myself.
It's where we're going. Definitely yes. Definitely yes. Sorry, I've got a blue heeler puppy right
Oh, I love that dog.
here. He's really sweet. He's just he wants to be acknowledged because he's
He's welcome anytime.
all right. Yeah, so where we're going very much so, and where we've lived in the past very much so. Here it's fairly mild, but it's still Canada. I sometimes post things and people say, I said, because I had a bunch of herbs that survived the winter with zero work, of course, as they do, right? And I had a bunch of comments, well, you're not really in Canada. That's not really Canada winter. It's like, well, I am technically in Canada. It was winter, so I'm rolling with it. It could be worse, but
Yeah.
Right?
Same here. It's we get snow, we get cold, we're used to that, but when you get the really cold weather, you're kind of like, please go away.
yeah.
But the normal stuff you're used to. We have a hail season, so even though it's annoying me, we're used to it.
Yes, yeah.
But then we have events, like I was talking about earlier, where you have the large hail where it does some damage, and it's frustrating.
Yeah.
But hail on the other hand is something that happens all the time here. Hey, kill it and grill it.
Kill it. Hey. So many fun people in the chat.
I know. Hello
Awesome.
to Kill It, Grill It.
Just 1 second.
Farmer's Son Preppin'. Thank you so much for coming in. Appreciate having you all. Sassy Gal Prepping, and I might have already said hi. Hey, Daz at My Aussie Garden and Kitchen. I don't know what time it is where you are, but thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, and you're a woman after my own heart, growing indoors. That's what I've been doing. I still have tomato flowers. I haven't seen tomatoes just yet, but I'm giving it a go, doing hydroponics.
Yep. Very, very cool.
And of course, moving. Anything you're growing is going to, unless you're within traveling distance, it's going to be difficult to get those things moved, which is going to be a bummer.
Bye, Charles.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
And I've pre-planned reducing a lot of stuff. And then I've got some things I just can't leave behind, like my rhubarb, because it keeps coming back. And so I'm just gonna harvest it and then move it.
Yeah.
It's actually quite hard to leave behind some of the plants.
Dig up as many as you can.
Yeah.
They're like your kids. Like you grow them and,
Yeah. Yeah.
I hear you on that one.
Absolutely. We lived in Connecticut for 11 years when we first got married, and I was totally into flowers at that point in time. And we got some wild ones, like some wild lilies that we had transplanted, and they were amazing. And then leaving, it was like,
oh yeah, that'd be hard.
Yeah. If I ever move, one of the first things I'm going to do is make sure I plant perennials and trees. And I saw this on Jesus Loving Homesteaders channel. They did a little, I don't even remember the name of it, but that really captured my attention because I have experienced that. Like I've experienced it before, and I'm going to make sure that I do that.
One other thing that we are doing in the new place that I was inspired by, Thorhaven Farm, one of my favorite channels, is we're putting in a food forest. So we're gonna do like the group of 3, like putting in 3 things at a time to develop, getting a little more into like the permaculture thing.
Yes.
It's kind of cool. Yeah.
I think that is awesome. Like here, I learned about, we have any of my high desert friends in the channel. It's a weed and it's called salsifi. It actually looks like it would spell salsify. And it grows wild. And when you harvest it under the ground, what you don't see is that there's this long tuber, and you can use it like a potato. And I just I love that. So if
That
I've
is so
seen them
cool.
on my property and I let them grow, I haven't dug any up yet, but I'm wanting
Hmm.
to dig one up, see what it looks like. Out here, they'll call it goat's beard, I guess, too, which is weird. I have no idea why, but it's the plant, everyone, that has like the dandelion looking pod that ends up being like like a baseball. It's
So
huge.
cool. So
Yeah.
cool. You
And
live in
that's
a beautiful area.
it is beautiful here. We love the beauty of it. We love that
Yeah.
we can go walk in the woods and really we don't have to worry about snakes. I mean, there is like timber rattlers up here,
Hmm.
but we don't have very many of them. It's a little different than in southern Arizona where you do got to watch out for the
Yeah.
rattlesnakes.
Yeah.
But we don't have a lot of bugs because we don't have a lot of water. We don't have a lot of snakes because we don't have a lot of water.
Mhm.
And I'm on Mountain Grandpa telling him because we took some friends. One of our friends, her bucket list was to go fishing again. So we took our friends fishing, and Mountain Grandpa was like fishing guide the whole day for them.
Oh,
Um, and when we were there, the lake is so low. We did catch them stock in the lake, so that was what we were doing there that day. But it's so low. He's good. I told him you should do a video on how low our lake is.
yes.
It's really it's scary and it's sad. And now with the fires, well, guess what we're using to put the fires out? Our water.
Yeah.
We're
Yep.
already
Yeah.
so low on. And yeah, so it's beautiful up here, but every place
Yes.
has its positives and its negatives. And one thing that I would encourage, hey, the bitter critters, squirrels, magnet fishing, thank y'all for joining. I would encourage everybody to really assess where you are, identify what your weaknesses are in that area and how you're going to overcome them. Because
Yes.
if something were to happen, um, and we ran into a water scenario. We have pretty decent water storage, but knowing you got 3 days to live with no water, that means our water storage, we couldn't be like, hey, let's water our garden.
Yes.
Absolutely not. The garden would have to, whatever live, whatever died at that point, because you're going to need your water for your family until you can figure out how to get somewhere else. I mean,
Right.
and that's what it boils down to in Arizona is,
Yes.
where are you going to go for the water when it doesn't rain for 3 months? How long is your water going to last you?
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, you've got to assess where you're at. And if you need to make a change, like seriously, the best time to do it would have been a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
There's no time like the present to figure out how you can change your possibilities for success. Put it that way.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So, Mountain Grandma, while you were having some internet issues, we were talking about goals. We talked about fitness and
Oh,
stuff
I
like
love
that.
Van City. I don't know. I'm sure you've heard Lisa and I say this before. Not our strong point. That is something we definitely are guilty of not paying enough attention to. But hey, we've been drinking water.
Yeah. Well, but we were talking about like physical fitness doesn't it the way I see it anyway, it doesn't
Right.
have to be classic fitness like going to run a marathon. I like
Mhm.
running. There's some sports that I don't like so much, but it's
Yeah.
the whole body, right?
Yeah.
Consuming natural foods, getting sunlight, fresh air, all that to
Mhm.
me is part of like physical fitness,
Yep.
physical well-being. And
Mhm.
we've done lots of things like we don't drink alcohol. We've
Yep.
cut that out. Just certain things just to try to
Yeah.
be the best version of ourselves. Not that you can't be a great version if you do,
Yep.
but just
Right.
for us, we found it was just an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
Um, but walking is great. But
Hey,
I
Joe.
mean, I do like to run. Yeah.
Well,
Garden.
yeah. And she was talking about stamina. You know what I mean? Developing that stamina to be
Mhm.
able to.
Yeah. And I would tell my kids this when they were younger, like, oh, shoot, we've got the nasty
I
bump.
got it.
Thank you, Lisa. Um,
That-
I would tell my kids, like, you know what? The more work you do, the less work seems like work.
yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? if you're not used to doing outdoor chores, and good heavens, they're like mine
I'm
eyes.
working on it.
But it's true, and there's that stamina piece, and just what are you used to doing every day? And I don't know if I said hi to Berkshire Farm, but they're a classic case of a family who was in Arizona and made that choice that they needed to get somewhere else. And it's a couple that has moved to Texas and are just starting their life over there. And I think that's awesome.
Uh-oh, I've triggered Thorhaven. Oh no.
Oh, I see that. That's funny.
We did have some in England. We did have a bit in England, just because you can't go anywhere without having, like champagne in England. So.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it is, Ben. We allow ourselves every now and then to have fun, but it's my husband and I don't drink when it's just the two of us. If we're like going to a party or something with friends, like a birthday party or something, and people are drinking, we might drink. That might happen a couple times a year. We just don't do it. We've never been the couple that always had alcohol in the house. That's just never been us. So I'm with you on that one, but I do need to get there. Van, before I had my daughter, I jogged. I even jogged when I was pregnant and didn't know it, because I was somebody who was pregnant and didn't know I was pregnant.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother story. But so anyways, I was
Awesome.
pregnant when I went to the doctor for back pain. But
Wow.
and I heard her heartbeat the same day. It was crazy.
Aw, that's so sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, but I jogged. I was in weightlifting, cross country, track when I was in high school, and even took some of that in college. And I had kids, and then all my attention went to them instead of myself. When I jogged, my husband would ride the bike, because I like to do like a mile or two. I was never
Nice.
a real long runner. That was the best that I could do or cared to do.
That's awesome. Yeah.
But yeah, it's something that we want to, when things settle, because we feel like right now we're so super busy that we can't. And Lisa, I don't know if you feel like this too, because you're with me like in that classification of, why aren't I doing this? You know what I mean? And I'm not doing it. Obviously, whatever we think is our priority, that's what we do first. I mean, so reasons are excuses, because it just means that we have priorities above that. And right now I do have priorities above that, but I like to feel like some of the chores I'm doing around here are giving me some good exercise.
Oh, they would be. Yeah.
But
if you don't value it, you're not going to do it.
Yeah.
It's that simple. If you have to value it, or you're not going to do it.
Yeah.
You're going to pick what you value.
Yes. I
And
tell
it's
my
gotta
husband,
be fun.
there's no such thing as fat and happy anymore. Like we're not going to be fat and happy for long, because we're going to end up sick. And some of us aren't necessarily welcomed at the hospitals, at least where I live. We don't feel like we're, some of us feel like we're getting a lower quality of service based on certain things that we don't meet. And I'm trying to say something without saying something. But I
totally get it.
Yeah. So anyways, that's one place we don't want to end up. And let's face it, either take care of your health or you're going to have to go to the doctor.
Yeah, and I mean, so like mountain running and racing, it really ties into preparedness, because when you're doing longer stuff, like 20 or more kilometers sort of, but you're out in the backcountry, you have to pack your kit on you. Like some of the races, they check what you have. They won't let you go if you don't have certain items. It's survival stuff. And it can be a fun way to check gear. It can be a fun adventure. I think like those kind of goals can be to complete things like that. I ran 4 races when I was pregnant with my son, but then I had to stop. But I had seriously thought I was going to do, because we worked, or not we, Mr. VP has worked a lot in Nepal, like in the Everest area, and there was an Everest marathon. But it's not as crazy as it sounds. Like it's hard.
I was just thinking, oh my gosh.
No, but it starts at base camp, but you go downhill. Like
Okay.
you run down. And I fully, in my mind, thought that when my son was 4 months old, that we were going to go over there and I was going to do it. Well, sounds like you've been down, you've had kids. Well, that wasn't a realistic thought.
Mhm.
Like it was, there's no way that was going to happen. It didn't happen.
Mhm.
But you know, like having kind of a fun activity plan in the future, like a race or something can be quite exciting because of the planning involved. For anyone into preparedness, there's a lot of planning involved, and that part
Mhm.
is fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Agree 100%. And that's for your fitness. Is your goal to do more of what you're doing, or do you have a certain direction you're wanting to go?
Yeah, I just want to keep, like I mentioned, I did a race a few weeks ago, and I just want to keep up with doing some races and you know, just make it a priority because yeah, I'm a mother of a little kid. I work full time. Um, you know, there's lots going on. So
Yeah.
just keeping up with the running would be fun. And of course, like to run, if effectively you have to do weight training. Like that's the only way to increase your speed is and
Mhm.
distance is weights, and it's kind of a misconception. I'm sure you've done lots of fitness, so you know, but some people who haven't done any, like it's the running is kind of only one part of it, and like rest is one of the biggest parts.
Joe. Hey, Joe Garden State Gardener. That was extreme.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point, you know, about making sure you get adequate sleep and you take care of your mental well-being as well.
Yeah, and I know Ben's a big advocate of that as well. He talks about it on his channel. Is just I don't know, the mental fortitude for me is the top goal of just working on it, trying different things
Mhm.
and getting better at it, because then
Yeah.
everything else is easier.
Agree. Do you have, so I know you talked about your fitness goal. What else did I miss, Lisa?
Uh
Finance.
Finance, yep, fitness, finance.
Don't get annihilated in the finance market is the goal. Because we know what, and just trying to retain some purchasing power as prices go up, and in whatever that requires to do to have some harder assets because the money's just the currency is diluting, obviously.
Kill
Hmm.
it and grill it.
Trying to get out of debt, right? As much as possible. I like,
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
wow, sassy gal, that's very cool.
oh, that is cool.
Awesome.
Oh, cool. Wow, there's a lot of people in that field, some that probably haven't mentioned it that I can see in the comments. There's even more people who have that experience. That's really awesome.
Yep.
You all are a valuable commodity. And in an SHTF situation, you're going to be even more valuable.
It all starts with your head, right?
It
It
That's
does.
does. It
the
does.
number
And
one thing.
I think that some people might be better equipped for what is to come. I'm going to say what is to come just because
Hmm.
what the
Yeah.
Bible says.
Hmm.
um, but who knows when, right? But
Right.
some people are going to be better equipped to handle that on a mental level than other people are, in terms of stability and emotional level. And some of us might be surprised, right? Like we might think, I got, and then it comes, we're just a hot mess. I mean, that could happen.
Well, and the thing is like both of us have seen it. I mean, with the rescue. So Mr. VP, he does the helicopter rescue of people who are, you know, and seeing their a bad day, right? Or fighting fires and stuff. And that's, you know, those are kind of could be interpreted as stressful situations or the medical emergencies and stuff like that. and just there's so much being prepared for stressful events it can work for other types of scenarios, because it really, it's just training, practice, and stress testing yourself. I think it's just a really important part of preparedness.
It is. And I don't know if, I feel like some of the people that I know that have read all kinds of science fiction, apocalyptic books already, I feel like some of those people are handling everything better because we've read it play out in different ways. I don't, that's my theory.
It's
Um,
true. It's got to be true. I can
mhm,
apply it, like, because the thing is, I have an analogy to like first responder stuff, which would be, before I got training, if I saw an ambulance, I'd have this like panic feeling, or an ambulance sitting outside of a house would just be, oh, like so scary. But now what I know is that only sometimes are they going to transport that person. They could just be doing a checkup. If it's all good, it's a good thing to have an ambulance around. They help you, like,
Yep.
and just approaching the scene like most things are actually not as bad. It's like
mhm,
the opposite of what I would have thought. And I remember,
mhm,
like, in some jobs when there would be a response, I noticed like the paramedics, they walk up super slow, and I'm like, why aren't they hurrying? Like, somebody's
mhm,
hurt. Why are they just
yeah,
wandering? Or when someone gets in a helicopter, because we've always had helicopters around everything we're doing, they just walk in and they check their stuff, and I'm like, why aren't you like jumping in and flying away? But
mhm,
then I learned that they're doing their scene assessment, they're doing their checklists. You'd never run onto a scene, and it just helps so much to apply to everything else. It's just
mhm.
taking those few seconds to sit back. And so I think just training and scenarios is just so important for every aspect of life.
Absolutely. I mean, and they talk about, airplanes, right? Putting the mask on the other person
Yeah.
before putting it on
Mhm,
yourself. Well, it's the same thing with first responders, right?
mhm.
Assessing the scene, because if you get hurt, there's no one to help the person.
Yeah.
And that's what's important.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I feel like that's one area that I need to build up is my first aid skills. Um, those would be great videos for you to do, Van.
Well, I'm not going to do them because I used to teach Red Cross all levels, and
Mhm.
um, it's kind of, you're not really supposed to teach in a non-formal and
Oh,
so, like, if you're actually a proper instructor, you're not
mhm.
actually supposed to be teaching stuff on
Gotcha.
YouTube. So I don't actually ever do that, and I always try to refer people to them because they get signed off properly, and
Hmm.
so, but there's definitely a place for learning on YouTube, and I love Prep Medic is awesome. That's a really
Mhm.
good channel. It's just not going to be me,
Yeah,
because every jurisdiction has different rules, and
Right.
it's no different than like your licensing for your own professions, right?
yeah.
So, but Prep Medic's
Absolutely.
good. Prep Medic's very good.
I wrote that
I
down.
Absolutely.
So I
Mhm.
show some kits, but I try to be sneaky and be like, "Hey, here's this more advanced trauma kit. If you want to know what's inside, if you take
Mhm.
a course, they'll tell you." Um, that's more my approach, and
Yeah,
everybody's different. Yeah.
No,
yeah,
absolutely spot on.
yep. I loved your supply list. That was
Oh,
awesome.
thanks. I'm actually very happy with those 35. I did a video of 35 things to have, and I'm very happy with that list because it combines
Mhm.
like a first responder, industrial first aid, and then a couple odds and ends. And so I feel good about that one. Oh, that person's back.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Annoying. They've been reported multiple times and hidden, but they keep coming back.
Mhm.
I'm going to handle this,
Hey,
Mountain
Lisa.
Grandma, while you ask
So
some
how about
questions.
I heard you mention that you've got a baby. I don't know if your baby's still a baby. My baby's still my baby, and she's 27. So I don't know
Yeah.
how old your baby is, but
Yeah, a young child. Young. Yeah, like an actual young child, not a baby, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Any goals like in the area of family that you want to share?
Just spending like I know you guys know exactly what I mean. Just spending as much quality time and just being as present as possible. So things like device-free days and just not big, lofty goals. He does some cool stuff. You know, he rides horses. He learning Mandarin, so like working on his second language,
Awesome.
and
Oh my
just
gosh, and Mandarin is a hard one. I tried
yeah,
Japanese and I I wasn't retaining it. It wasn't working out at all.
yeah.
It's a
I mean,
hard.
he's it's a little bit harder just with the times we're in and the amount of physical. A lot of things like Canada is way more set like Australia in that sense. Like there was a lot more stuff, a lot more barriers to in-person stuff here than I think than are great for the kids and stuff. But just working on anything to like help his his emotional support and just spending
Mhm.
time with him and activities and just getting him out there. And so it's really just the simple things, it's the everyday life with
Yeah.
him and more camping and stuff like that.
Mhm. That's awesome. Mandarin. Wow. You know, I love foreign languages and learning them. Sassy Gal said she's got two kids taking Japanese
Hmm.
and she's learning Spanish. That's
look at
awesome.
look at Kill It and Grill It's comment about Captain Crazy.
No kidding.
No kidding.
Mm-hmm. Right?
Make it
Was
stop.
Mr.
I
VP's done
wish.
quite a bit of work in China, and he'll have a translator with him. They'll like arrive with him and travel with him, and all his flying is done through a translator. I can't even imagine how difficult that would be. But we decided Mandarin would be useful. My second language was Japanese, but
Mhm.
I'm really like that was a long time ago. I'm really rusty on it because at the time in this part of Canada, it's a really multicultural place, and
Mhm.
Right.
at the time the yen was really strong and Japanese people were visiting a lot and moving to the area, so it was the language to learn in my area. But after that, it definitely switched to more of the you know different types of Chinese languages became a little bit more of a thing. So that's what he's doing. But
Mhm.
Mr. VP doesn't really speak Chinese at all. So, but yeah, he probably is the one who could learn a bit for
Thank you,
travel.
Isa. Horrible. These these trolls we got. My second language is Spanish. I speak a little bit
Cool.
of French. Once you learn one Latin language, for example, you
Yeah.
can pick up some other Latin languages pretty easily. And I took, gosh, 4 years of Spanish in high school and then took several more years in college. I wouldn't say I'm the best eavesdropper on a Spanish conversation, but I can figure some stuff out, and it is kind of handy. I had a coworker once who went to Africa with one of our physicians to, help run a medical service there, and went there for 3 weeks, and she shared with me that on the plane there were people on the plane that did not speak English, and she didn't speak their language, but they both spoke French. So there's one of the perks of
Cool.
knowing a second language is you might not even be talking to somebody in their native tongue. It just might be the one language that you both happen to speak. And I thought that was pretty cool. But if you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah.
So that's, I
Yes.
think, one of the reasons I've been able to retain the Spanish that I learned is because there's so much opportunity here in Arizona. And with our open borders, the opportunities are just growing by the day.
Yeah. A lot of
Just
opportunities.
not that everybody's even coming over the border that speaks Spanish. I mean, we have over 100 different nations that are hopping our southern border. This is just horrible. They are on us. Thank you, Lisa. They're keeping Lisa busy. Lisa, I appreciate you so much. I want to help, but I'm afraid that if I go to hit it,
No, I got it. I got it. And Brenda, thank you.
to.
I've reported every single one the entire live, and I've also blocked the person, and they keep coming back.
Yeah.
Well, there's Cold War Prepper who could speak like a lot of different stuff. He is an amazing, inspiring, knowledgeable person.
He is, but I don't remember how many languages you spoke, Cold War Prepper. Do you mind sharing?
Can I put in a shameless plug while he responds? Can I put in a shameless plug for Cold War Prepper's book club? He has a nonfiction and fiction book readings every week. You guys might know about it, but anyone in the chat who doesn't, super awesome opportunity to read these books together and talk about them and stuff.
Awesome.
Awesome. His link might have been shared already, but I'm going to share it more.
I got it, Mountain Grandma.
Awesome. Thank you, Lisa. So with everything that you guys are doing, and we're at the top of the hour. So anybody have any questions for VANCITY Prepper? And I'm just going to see, is there any, I've got the little banner scrolling with the 7 Fs. Is there anything else that you want to mention, VANCITY Prepper?
Well, just the whole future thing of just checking in with the mental fortitude and the physical fitness, and just trying to rely more on ourselves, and that whole topic, sustainable prepping. Whatever it takes for us to just and just being happy with less. I mean, we've really oh wait, isn't drinking, oh yeah, how come, yeah, Thorhaven, you know me. So, we all have our thing, right? I'm gonna say, for fun, the fun part of 7Fs, I love coffee so much. It's so tasty. And I know it's not the healthiest thing.
Actually, I'm going to share with you something I was just reading this morning. I'm kind of a nerd, you guys. It was about, this article is on regeneration of, so it's a journal article. Remember we were just talking about this.
I love it.
And it's on Green Med Info. I've mentioned them on our channel before. But coffee's on the list of actually having the ability to regenerate your nerves. Let me see if I can get this to where you can see it. Do you see it down there at the bottom?
Yeah,
see that list? Granted, it's at the bottom. It's number 13. But you can see, you can kind of see what I'm reading. Rejuvenation research about herbs and foods that rejuvenate different organs in your body. This was your neurological system. And coffee was on the list, so don't feel too guilty.
Oh, great. Okay, good. Well, I feel like, and also like having space and allowance, that we do have, we're humans, so we do have we all have vices of some sort, and just acknowledging what they are, and just trying to be reasonable with them and not go crazy, and like I like to drink coffee, but I'm not going to drink 20 cups, but still just accepting that we all have our thing, and stuff like that. His sweetie says coffee.
Yeah. Apocalyptic Ben, the only German I know is Was ist das? One of my kids was learning German, and that's the only thing that stuck with me, and I still say it. I'll tell my husband, Was ist das? Just means, what is this?
I was working up in Northern Canada by myself with an assistant, and my assistant, this is like 10 years ago, my assistant quit. He went to the washroom and called us on a sat phone to get picked up by the helicopter because he didn't like it out there. It's too scary. So he got picked up, and I got a new guy from Germany who just had never been to Canada. So they flew him over because I was working like a collaboration with another university. They flew him over. He had never been to Canada. He had never seen a bear. He had never shot a firearm. All this stuff he had never done. And he arrived, and he got out of the helicopter. The first time I met him, he got flown out to where I was. I was standing there Like they took out the other guy, brought him out, and he was wearing a wrestling mask. So he gets out of the helicopter wearing this wrestling mask, and he was a wild person. And the whole time we walked around, he taught me every bad word in German ever, and I won't even say it, but like the worst swear words. Thought it was super funny, and so now like I can swear like nobody's business in German. Like,
Oh, that is hilarious.
That's
You know,
funny.
yeah,
one thing I don't know is all the bad words in Spanish. I never, because I learned it, in an educational setting, not like, from other people. I never learned the curse words.
that's awesome.
Thank
That's a
you
good
for
way to
coming,
be.
Fairhaven. I know, but then it's good to know them to know what not to say. You know what I mean? Because I
Yeah.
have embarrassed myself by mispronouncing something, and I don't remember what it was, but when we moved up where we moved to here, we gave away a lot of our household items. It was very freeing. We just gave them away. We actually put one thing on Craigslist for sale, and the people that came, we told them, pick what you want. I mean, chances are it's yours, because we gave just about everything away except for some of my antique furniture and stuff. And they spoke Spanish, and I said something wrong. And the husband thought it was hilarious, and I was like mortified. My husband knew what it meant too. I'm the only one that didn't know. My husband knows Spanish cuss words, but not me. But anyhow,
That's so funny.
no, they thought it was hilarious. Um, Anybody have any questions for VANCITY Prepper?
Somebody did earlier. Hang on a minute. Somebody asked if VANCITY Prepper had ever heard of ASEA.
And now I'm just wondering is if that's a company, like I've heard of it, but if it's something else, let me know.
I'm looking for it. Berkshire Farm. Frank said, "Have you ever heard of ASEA?" So, Frank, can you clarify what that is?
If it's a health product, I don't know much about it.
One question. So VANCITY Prepper. I think I know the answer, but I'm going to ask you anyways to see what you say. What do you think is the number one thing that everyone should have at the top of their list of preparedness? If there was one thing and you had to pick one thing, what would it be?
So do we mean like an item to stockpile or a tool? Because like if
Well,
the
let's look at the seven F's.
okay. Okay.
I mean, and we know we all have. Okay, so we could think basics: food, water, shelter. I know, I've heard you say this before, and I just want you to share it with everybody. Because you and I chatted with this, and I had to say, I'm afraid water's going to trump that for me here. But do you remember what I'm talking about?
Well, I mean, water is the most important thing, of
Mhm.
course.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, well, my list is always like mental fortitude, physical fitness, and then things
Mhm.
like food and water
Yep.
after that. But I mean, obviously your brain doesn't matter if you don't have water, but just sort of on a theoretical sense.
Yep.
Um, yeah, is that the direction you're meaning, or
Yeah. I thought you were going to say fitness. You did a
I?
video and you were talking about your physical,
Yeah,
this shell. And to me, like, this shell includes our mind, our
yes,
physical
yes,
body. This is what it
yes,
all comes down to.
totally. Yep.
Mhm.
Because I mean, if you like, if you lose your mind, you can't even treat yourself medically. You can't help anyone. I've seen it. I have seen people freeze when there's a massive medical emergency and they cannot make themselves do anything to support that person. So
Mhm.
your this like has to be sorted out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You could
Absolutely.
lose everything you have. And I loved that you shared that on video. And I was like, gosh, even before my physical fitness, I got to worry about water. You might not have to worry about water, but us in Arizona, we
Oh
go,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
but,
yeah. Of course, yeah.
but you're so right, because everything we could have to leave it. It could burn up. it could run out. But your skill set that you have up here, your physical preparedness, that's going to take you down the path to where you go next is so super important. And I loved that video that you did, because I thought that
Thanks. Thank you.
it was
Yeah.
spot on.
Skills over
Even
gear.
though
Like
I'm not paying enough attention to it, it's like the physical fitness
well,
I'm working
and
on.
I say it all the time, but like within our own limitations, if we have disabilities, if we have health problems, if we have barriers, like not everybody, you know, a person who can't afford food and they have to go to the food bank, like they're not going to necessarily have time to also like go to the gym. I mean, it's obviously within our reason. I just mean the best version of ourselves, and then like in my opinion, however a person looks, whatever, that's a byproduct of how a person is, you know, feeling and doing well in that way.
Yeah.
So Berkshire Farm did clarify it was a health product, ASEA. And I think we have time for one more question, because we're about 10 minutes
Yeah,
over.
sorry.
No, that's fine, but we want to
filter?
keep to schedule.
Yeah. What's the best item to filter water?
Well, you know, it totally depends where you are, and you know, I can't talk about filtering water without mentioning Uncle Al and Secret Stuff and that whole pool water thing. Go watch their
Oh,
channels about that. But anyway, whenever we were anywhere, we would always use a filter, either purify or filter the water, and then I'd always use something like Aquatabs. I know there's so much debate on how people do it. A lot of the we drank a lot of glacier water. The water comes right out of the glacier. Yeah, well, there's also migrating caribou herds that take a poop on the water, and it's like in the water, or other things. So I would always filter, purify it, and then also add Aquatabs. So it totally depends on your environment. I am not an expert on that. It also depends if you're just backpacking or if you have like a flying setup.
What do you mean for the house when you're collecting rainwater? So we have like a big Berkey for rainwater filtration at our house, but then you need something for if you're to throw in your bug out bag. But then nothing also beats having some basic knowledge of how to filter water the old school way: rock, sand, charcoal, and I think, Apocalyptic Ben, charcoal's best.
Absolutely.
Farmer Son Prepping did a video of that too, of filtering water with using all of those things, like the old school way. Because,
absolutely,
even if you purchase something, the filter is going to go bad at some point. It's just good to know how to do that yourself. I could give it my best guess, but I haven't practiced it either. Like just throwing rocks and sand and everything.
Welcome in, Margie.
Yeah, Berkey. I love the Berkey for the house. That's what you're talking about. All right. Thank you so much for joining us today, Van. We really enjoyed having you. Hey, Margie, Pedmar, good to see you. And thanks everybody
for being here today.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I enjoy you guys' channels a lot, and these talks here with people, because it always gives me new ideas. And it's also great to see a bunch of channels, especially in like more of the homesteading sphere that I'm not aware of, also that were fairly new on YouTube. So thanks for having me on, so I could also be introduced to these new folks.
Well, thank you. We appreciate you taking the time to be with us today.
Of course. You guys will have to come on over to our channel next.
I hope you all go check out VANCITY Prepper. And remember, next week we will be on Lisa's channel over at Yogi Hollow Farm. So make sure to hit the notification bell for her channel to catch us over there. Hope y'all have a great, blessed rest of your day. Try to keep your joy even when it's hard. And don't watch the news. That'll steal it from you.
No kidding.
You all have a great one, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.